Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to everyone. And welcome to NICE 2015, and welcome to Innovation Talks 1 with the title, Setting Apart, Getting Ahead, Innovation from Industry. I hope everyone is ready and geared up for this talk because we have three panelists to be talking about this, which comprises of Mr. Shamsul Bahar, CEO of Syngas Nirain Berhad. We have Mr. Ismail Yamin, CEO of Pulsar UAV, and Mr. Muhammad Zuki bin Wan Abdullah from FGV Berhad. To moderate this session, we have Dr. Rezal Khairi Ahmad, who is the CEO of Nano Malaysia. But before we invite our moderator up, I would like to share a brief introduction of Dr. Rezal Khairi Ahmad. Dr. Rezal Khairi Ahmad is the Chief Executive Officer of Nano Malaysia since February 2013, and between August 2012 and February 2013, he also served as Acting Under-Secretary of National Nanotechnology Directorate, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. Currently, he is Under-Secondman from Khazanah Nasional, which he holds the position of Vice President at Strategic Human Capital Management Division. He holds a PhD in nanotechnology, electronic and electrical engineering from London Centre of Nanotechnology, University College London, as a Khazanah scholar, and a number of publications in high-impact journals. With that, let's give a warm applause to Dr. Rezal Khairi Ahmad.
Right. Assalamualaikum. Good morning and salam inovasi to all nice people here. Are you guys feeling nice? Yes. I'm feeling nice too to be up here for the first time. I'm taking the E here, so I hope everyone here will complete me by NICE later. Okay. A special welcome to the panelists present here in the first session of NICE 2015, Innovation from Industry. So the MC has already given a round of introductions. So without much further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Shamsul Bahar of Syngas Nirain Berhad to go on the stage and take your seat. Sir, you are designated with N. And this is followed by Mr. Ismail Yamin, Pulsar UAV Nirain Berhad CEO. I goes out to you. And last but not least, Mr. Muhammad Zuki Wan Abdullah from FGV Berhad. You'll be seated next to me, right? The final seat. So welcome aboard, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to have
Thank
you
you
up here on stage. Otherwise, I'll be up here alone, feeling very, very lonely.
Thank you. Thank you.
And doing innovation all to myself. I hope that I in innovation does not stand for I, me, and myself, right? Before we start, just a bit of preamble. The innovation assembled here is rather formidable, covering the industrial value chain of technology development, commercialization, and sustainable growth. We have a startup, essentially. We have an SME in the form of Syngas, and we have a large conglomerate in terms of FGV. So the combination here is perfect to understand how technology can grow. From ideation, it grows all the way to the SME and becomes a conglomerate, connecting all the dots. Innovation, ladies and gentlemen, is the current global buzzword. Governments, businesses, people are buzzing around with innovative ways to improve economic standings at their respective scales to sustain bottom lines and livelihood. To some, they prefer the terminology dirty word, not buzzword. This holds true very much for the entrepreneurs because dirtiness springs into the need for cleanliness or refinement, thus offering plenty of innovation opportunities leading to income and growth possibilities. And such concepts is very well in the industry. This is where all the grimes, the grease, and the grinds exist, right? So
yes.
You have to be dirty, get your hand dirty in order to improve yourself. So the need to find that dirt for refinement activities for businesses will always be there to sustain differentiating factor, because you guys need to stay ahead, assuring at least a step ahead of the competition. So innovation, ladies and gentlemen, is crucial for survival and also growth. Some say innovate or die. I read somewhere KPMG say innovate or get left behind. I say innovate or incapacitate. When incapacitate, you cannot really function well, so you have to innovate. So the session is aptly themed, setting apart and getting ahead. The panelists here, being a lifelong learner of innovation, will deliver their views and share experiences on innovation. So their roles in empowering innovation, being mindful of profit, people, and planet, because we are moving into sustainability. So the three pieces, the three major pillars in understanding how do you grow your business. So without further ado, I present to you first Mr. Samsul Bahar from Syngas Sdn Bhd. He has something to present. So hand over to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Rizal, for the introduction. I would like to add on something else on the introduction. I am a dreamer. I like to imagine things. Most of the time, my imagination will go wild. I like to put things together and create that bit of magic. And I guess this is what this convention is all about. It is about creating magic. It is about innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning to all. It must be too early in the morning because we can see a lot of still empty seats out there. What I would like to do today is to briefly share my experience, my story, how my journey as a dreamer, how and hands-on achieving fulfillment. This is not nirvana, but self-satisfaction. It started all 10 years ago. The dream that we had when I was working in a plastic company. Eventually, I own a company. What we are doing is that we are producing specialty plastic. And being specialty plastic, the problem is that it is so high quality, we have to discard a little bit of defects. And obviously, in industry, there'll be 2 to 3% of defects. And those defects kept on accumulating. And by producing specialty plastic, we just couldn't recycle them into something else. Now, but again, if we were to dispose, we have to pay to the local municipality. And that is something that we do not wish to do. So what we had was that we just keep on storing them. And until a certain period of time, whereby our store are full with all these rejects, all these defects. And this is when this proverb came in. Necessity is the mother of invention. I guess everybody here will actually understand that proverb very well. When you are stuck, you try to find a way how to free yourself. Now, that is when we decided to, hey, if we just couldn't convert into plastic again, can we turn them into something else? And this is when we decided to, this is something that I read when I was in Form 4 physics class, that plastic came from crude oil, and if you do some reverse engineering to it, you can actually convert it back into fuel. So we went on the thinking cap and say, hey, maybe this is true. Maybe this is something that we need to do, to convert plastic and turn them into fuel. But how exactly can we actually achieve that? The next step to do is obviously to set up an R&D unit. And this is where the magic came in. We set up the R&D unit within the company. We had a bunch of engineers to crack their heads on how to do the conversion. Imagine a company that is manufacturing plastic suddenly decided to do R&D on fuel. But we decided, and this is how we're going to do it. Now, let me just briefly explain how innovation works. It is all about fooling around. It is all about having fun. It is all about having errors, making mistakes, but assessing those errors, making plans, and finding goals, finding objectives. And in the end, what we actually would like to achieve is to ensure that we achieve success in the findings. So later in 2008, 2 years later, we have that magic. We have produced the first system that can actually do the conversion. This is just a backyard manufacturing, backyard fabrication. It's all bits and pieces that we put together, and we did the experiment, the testing, and finally we found the catalyst. Now, what is the catalyst? The catalyst is the very single item that will actually does the conversion. It speed up the conversion process. From taking plastic, we heat it up, become molten, we gasify them, and the gasification takes place with the presence of the catalyst, where the process starts, and then we do the conversion, whereby there will be distillation and condensation. And once it gets heavy, when the temperature drops, it becomes liquid. So it is where it all got started. Now, this is a technological breakthrough that we got, the game changer. And it took us quite some time to actually realize that what we have on our hands is something very much different from what actually exists in the world. I'll come to that later. Now, once we are satisfied with what we have, I decided to just roll it out, to produce the system, to have the catalyst produced, and to sell. And I very much wanted it to be a trade secret. There is very vast difference what is state secret and what is patent. And why I decided to have it as a trade secret, because I do not wish to reveal the information, the technology, to the rest of the world. If I were to do that, there'll be some opportunist would actually look at the patent and actually study it through and be producing similar products what we have, the thing that we actually cracked our head for quite some time. Then came along this particular patent agent. This fine gentleman told me that if you were to do trade secret, the problem lies, what if your own staff, what is somebody who happened to break into your vault and actually read through what you have, and he then decided to patent the product. He would get a patent instead of you. Then that made me realize that I just got to do the patent thing. So in later in the years, I decided to do the patent, and that was the leap. That was the quantum leap, we call it. And we decided to, instead of just having a small unit of R&D inside the company, we decided to set up a company itself to do this particular project, the conversion from plastic into diesel fuel. Now, but once you have the company, where would you actually generate the income? You need revenue, but R&D doesn't give us that. R&D is like a black hole, I assume. It sucks everything. It takes away your financial, it takes away your car, it takes away mostly your life. And we need fun. And soon enough, the funding dries up. And it was like a sinking ship. And then we decided to look for help. Now, the first place that we went to was obviously MOSTI. I remember the story. The very event, the very day that we decided to go MOSTI, I went there with my wife. And my wife is my partner. She's also an engineer, which we crack our heads together, not only at the office, but also at home, in closed room as well. And so now, we went to MOSTI, and it happened to be that particular day we met the officer, and the officer told me that you better submit the your paper, your application today or tomorrow, because next week there'll be a panel to discuss on the awards of the grant. And I was like, do we have time to do that? So we went back home. Immediately we come up with the paper. We come up with all whatever design that we have. And the very next day we submitted. And MOSTI being very efficient, after the presentation that we did the following week, 2 weeks later, we received the letter that we got the grant. And this is something that I don't know about other countries, but MOSTI really assisted us on that, giving us the opportunity to actually push it, make it, that we are able to do the process, the R&D faster than any other countries, I assume. Now, but in order to do the R&D, in order to take the grant, you need funding. And we are up to our wits. How can we actually get that? We have fund on our own. We have fund on our own. I sold my company, eventually the plastic company, put everything into syngas, and but then we need more fund. And then this is when a fine gentleman from up north in Perlis, Datuk Syed Razlan, he's here in the audience. He came to us and said that, why don't you pack up your things and move to Perlis? And with that, we can connect you to the Northern Corridor, which is Corridor Utara. Set up the meeting with Northern Corridor, and within a few weeks, we got the soft loan from them. So that was the initial start, how we are able to actually move and get our R&D going. Now, what I have here is to show the development stages that we did. We started everything. The conceptual framework started in 2005. We produced the first system that we have, and then we got the grant in 2009 from MOSTI, and we applied for more grants. We got it in 2011, and we patented our findings in 2011, and by 2012, we managed to produce. Now, let me just try back. If you understand what is diesel fuel, biodiesel, they are having it like B5, B20 now, and those biodiesel, you got actually mix diesel with biofuel in order to run. Now, but now there are already more technological breakthrough that you can actually use B100, just directly produce biodiesel and actually put it in. 50, as you.
5 minutes. 5 minutes more.
5 minutes left?
Yeah.
Okay, I got to hurry up now. So, what we produce is something that you can actually just, from the process itself, just fit into your car and you can just drive. And this is where we got all the recognition. I got to just speed it up now. So we were thinking big then. What if we were to take all those waste in the dump sites, in the landfill, and produce them and make them into fuel? And in 2014, last year, finally, after 2 years of filing, more than 2 years of filing, we were granted a patent. And we have patented the finding in 60 countries around the world. And today, this is how the machine looks like. From the backyard industry, we produce a high-tech 40-footer, and it can go as big as a 20-footer system. And once we have established that, we have got a patent, we went ahead and have distributors all over the globe, in Australia, in America, in UK. And basically, that is the journey that we had. So this is a 10 years journey that we did. We had an idea, we did R&D, we got the invention, we produced a prototype, we took fundings while we are having a financial crisis, that we get through the prototype and went for marketing. So this is the thing that we had. We had the dream, we had the idea, and we make it into reality. When IBM started to have their motto, they say the motto is think, but Apple came out with think different. So this is something that most industries supposed to have. You think different. You got to be ahead of the pack, be ahead of everybody else, and make different. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's create magic together. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
So thank you very much, Encik Samsul. So very comprehensive yet very, how do I say, concise presentation. I have just one question for you. So basically, you mentioned about thinking outside the box, your very last slide.
Excuse me?
Thinking outside the box, being different.
Yes.
That's pretty much one of the underpinning philosophy of innovation. I have a different take on it. Okay, if you can afford to think outside the box, you can. You have the resources to do so. What if you can only think inside the box? There's always plenty of innovation opportunities inside the box. People tend to go outside the box, but how about inside the box? When you have constraints, and that's where the true innovation comes in, when you're pushed back to the wall. So what's your take on that?
Okay, now, you have only one head to think, and you have probably perhaps your staff that you have with you that you can actually think of how to actually improve and innovate. What you need is more heads. You need partners, technological partners, engineers. Even though you might say that you are good, you are very capable, but you need those outside brains as well to come in. So once you have that, you can actually have a different view of what you are producing. And that is thinking out of the box. You might be stuck within the four walls, inside the box itself. But then again, if you were to reach out and grab others, because now this is the, you're talking about world without boundary. And once you do that, because I was like, instead of just having Malaysia as your source of brain, you can just reach out to Japan, or America, or Australia, or UK, and have that, because this is something that you need to share instead of just rather keep it to your chest, keep it to yourself. And once you have that, you can actually go global and improve the innovation.
Okay, well said. So, mindful of the time, so I shall pass the baton to Mr. Ismail Yamin. So, to set the tone of this, how do you present yourself to the audience? I would like to also throw a challenge to you, once you pretty much tell about yourself and what your company is actually doing, is the difference between invention and innovation. You come back to that after your. So what I need you to is to define what actually the core value of Pulsar, a bit of background of the company, and a certain product highlights. And of course, tell us about yourself, okay, in the process. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Reza. So, Assalamualaikum and very good morning to everybody. First of all, I'm humble and grateful to be here today. My name is Ismail Yamin. As been mentioned, I'm the CEO and also the Chief Technology Officer for Pulsar UAV. In the company, I have also my partner, Mr. Jabarullah Rahim. He will be here later this afternoon. Basically, it's a fairly new company. It's a startup. And our idea is to have a technological-based company moving towards high-tech industry. So, since my background is in aerospace engineering, I used to work with a fleet of Airbus aircraft as a design and structural engineer, 3 years in the industry. Right. Then after resigning, I started this company. So in this company, at the moment, we just finished our 1 year mark in R&D. we are the recipient of Cradle Fund for a prototyping grant. And
before that, you actually bootstrapped your company, 30,000 ringgit, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
true. Prior to that, we did a lot of R&D just to get our head start.
Okay.
So when the time comes for us to actually scale it up to the next level and package our product that can serve the market, we are ready and we know what to do. Okay, so the core of this company is basically looking into big data. So we are trying to go into the area of robotics and use it as a platform to be a means for data collection. So we start off with aerial platform. So that hence the name UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle.
Right.
So we just don't stop there. We will go for sea, air, and land for data collection. Why we aim for a mobile type of data collection? Because besides satellites, this kind of means another way to collect data for your landscape, your environment, and so on. So the sectors that we have targeted are agriculture, land survey, telco, and mining. So all these areas are importantly very crucial in the sense of gathering the right data that in the future, if it can assist planners to plan those activities. For example, agriculture itself is a big data problem without the big data. Farmers, they lose their fertilizer as waste in a bulk amount of losses. According to research, it went up to 40% of losses. And then irrigation issues, watering, herbicide and pesticides are all went for losses just because poor planning. But with aerial imaging and remote sensing, yes, we understand satellites does the job. But normally, if you want to understand how satellites operate, they will take some time to generate those data. So for a UAV platform, it's almost immediate. So what we have done, we have taken existing UAV technology, okay, and looking at the industry requirement, find what's that gap. And apparently, that gap lies in the software. Data analytics, image processing, and way to conduct jobs much efficient by very user-friendly user interface. So in order for us to get into this software, we don't just buy UAVs from off the shelf. What we do is learn from what they are already existing off the shelf, add value to these drones that correspond to our software, hence servicing the industry. So this value adding is what we call it as innovation.
Right.
So when it comes for invention, I think invention comes later when you have mastered innovation. Because to master innovation is like an art. Once you know the tools, so what are those tools? The tools are knowledge in terms of science and technology. So once you understand the fundamental concept of science and technology, then you use those elements creatively enough to create a new product that has more value at the end.
Right.
So we went with that approach. And yes, prior starting our R&D for this second year, actually I started this company in 2013. So we just did our successful presentation yesterday. And prior to that, we did a lot of background research in the fundamentals. We don't just jump right into it. We do a lot of feasibility studies, market share, market size, revenue stream, ROI, and all the stuff that correspond to the technology. Make sure it stays relevant for now and future, but it doesn't just stop there. Innovation is a constant process. So when you have exhausted areas that you can add value, that's when invention kicks in.
Okay. I have one particular request from you, product highlights. Most recently, you launched this drone called Report Generation Drone, right? Brigade. Can you explain more and how you come about to that, arriving to that idea, and how you have that identifying the differentiating factor for you to stay ahead? What makes Rigid unique, better than your competition? Yeah.
Okay, we call our product report generating drone for the sole purpose of serving the industry. So we build customized drone for specific industries. So for example, if it's a drone for the telco, we call it Rigid Telco. Drone for the agriculture, we call Rigid Agro, and so on. Even we have a land-based drone coming up soon, Rigid Terra. So all of these Rigid, they come along together with customized software that have inputs from intellectual people related to data analytics. So the drone will be a means to collect data, and hence data analytics will be assisted by intellectual people in terms of the equations to be used, the right terminology in place. So just talking about the software alone, itself, it's a huge thing that can be marketed worldwide using existing drone out there. But what we want to do is package this whole thing as one unit and let it run continuously. Because why? We don't target for consumer market, we target for industrial sectors just because of the sustainable revenue stream. So report generating drone is quite unique. It's because out there, normally you have piecewise solution. You just buy a drone and you manually take those data. You know, there's no analytical process built in. So what we're trying to do is package all into one, make it a very friendly user interface.
And previously I did mention about the 3 pillars of sustainable innovation: people, for profit, people, and planet. So from your angle, so how do you contribute to that, especially from the people and planet benefits? Profit, of course, that's the core of your existence. Definitely. Every company must meet their bottom line.
Yeah, true.
That's the reason why you innovate.
Yeah. The reason why we go into this business, because we believe in efficiency. By having machines does not replace human beings, but to a certain extent, they can be our great helper. So as long as we know how to draw the line. So with such system, it gives a huge impact. Even we're talking about agriculture, I think oil palm has been one of the major contributors to the economy. And it also contributes to a lot of waste of fertilizers, waste of resources, time, and so on. If we can help to reduce those wastes, it's part of the green initiative. Not just that, if we can help to monitor where are the areas that lack of water supply and stuff like that through remote sensing, we can go ahead and pre-plan what is to be in place. When talking about going back to the society, I think it needs to go to a higher level. That's why our future plans doesn't just end at aerial drones. We are looking into satellites. So last year, I was nominated alongside Elon Musk in New York City for World Technology Award on the idea to provide a low-cost solution for a global constellation of remote sensing satellites.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. So only then, once we go to the next level, there are 3 areas that we have to look at. First of all is water. So by understanding the precipitation of water over the planet, it helps us to predict where the areas that are lacking of water around the globe, which will affect agriculture. So agriculture is the next phase in this remote sensing. Why? Because without food, people can't think. So the next step is education. Broadcast internet access throughout the whole world, no matter wherever you are. Currently, there are a lot of existing online school-based systems like EDX. You can get courses from MIT and Harvard for free. Imagine poor children in Africa can get access to those kind of quality education. Not just that, even our kids in rural areas can have similar access. So that is the next level. So in order for us to go towards the next level, which is satellites, we have to conquer the technology of remote sensing at this low level first. So that's the plan.
Actually, you tiptoed across 2 touch points that MOSTI is embarking on. Number 1 would be Internet of Things. So big data analytics is key to that. And having your drones hovering around will be key to understanding, live feed in terms of data into the system. So we are going to that. And touching on your so-called people initiative, I'm sure under the RMK 11, which our beloved Prime Minister will be presenting later, we will touch on people's economy. So MOSTI has taken a proactive step to launch social innovation called MOSTI Social Innovation Initiative, MSI. So touching on awareness, touching on societal well-being, and making sure that the living conditions for people in Malaysia is improved as such. So there are many, many opportunities for you to touch on. And you touch on remote sensing. We have an agency, remote sensing, here for you to collaborate and see how you can play a part. And getting back to the people element too, are you afraid that there's some ethical issues where people use drones to spy on their spouses? Especially women, with very high jealousy. They say, where is my husband going tonight? So they use drones and say, red light district area, which is just back there. So
I think to touch on that point, it's a very interesting point. That's the first reason why we went to build drones for the industry, not for consumer use. And if you recall, the law of drone policy in Malaysia is under DCA. It's actually taking from FAA rule of 1998 AIC note.
Correct.
States that you cannot fly above 400 feet, not more than 20 kilograms.
Is that still work in progress, or they have fully developed the regulations?
They are waiting for the FAA to come up with the final outcome. So until then, drones are freely flying everywhere. So we just want to stay out of the consumer arena for now. We just focus on the industry. But definitely the authority needs to take charge on these things. Yes, people can play drones, fly for leisure and recreational, but must have a limitation. So I would suggest whenever the drone comes into Malaysia for off-the-shelf for hobbyists, it should go through CIRIM and MCMC to have a geofence. Make sure all the drones are equipped with geofencing program in the autopilot.
Don't forget standards too.
Yes,
standards element to do that.
Thank you for reminding.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we MOSTI, our brothers and sisters, we like to work together.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of standard, we have been given permit by CIRIM and MCMC on our drone components, which are very crucial. And we are also building our own wind tunnel, which we're going through Standard Malaysia for calibration. So we do use these agencies for our references and permits.
Okay, last touch point before we pass on to the next panel is you heard about Amazon Prime Air, right?
Yes.
2013. They've gone commercial. They're trying to tap onto the commercial space. So they're expecting to deliver orders inside 10-mile radius within 30 minutes. Is that something that you'll be thinking about at some point beyond industrial applications? Because as a CEO, as a CTO too, you need to think about company growth.
True. Eventually, we look at self-refueling drones. In order for us to move forward very fast, we cannot afford by getting drones to fly a very short period of time and you replace the battery and so on and so forth. So we're looking into a technology that can self-refuel itself. So that's why currently we are working on a back-end project on our other drone model, which is using fuel cell. So if we have successfully tested our fuel cell with a novel chemical used as a catalyst to generate onboard hydrogen, yes, that's our next step. to go forward, not just delivery, but also in terms of disaster recovery and rescue mission.
Okay. There is also another popular application for drones will be taking selfies.
Oh yeah.
Yes. You throw the drones up in the air, remotely control, poof, right? You
Yeah,
have the whole
true.
bird's eye view of what
Yeah.
you want to take off, right?
That's very interesting.
Okay. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Give a round of applause. Thank you. Last but not least, the biggest entity in our session today, Felda Global Ventures. So, Mr. Zuki, yeah? So welcome. Glad to see you again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rizal.
Our last meetup was during the graphene seminar, right? Taking place at MIDA quite a while back. So the same drill. Tell me about yourself. Also about what FGV is aspiring to do. And of course, I would like you to press on what are the innovation highlights undertaken by FGV in recent years.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Rizal. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning. First of all, my name is Muhammad Zuki Wan Abdullah. Currently, I'm the head of oleochemicals and others. So the other things is that there's a lot of under my portfolio. And I don't have to explain more about FGV, FGV, because people know it's a plantation-based companies and also the biggest player in oil palms, not only in Malaysia, but also all over the world. So the question asked by Dr. Rizal just now in terms of what kinds of initiative we've been taking through. Okay, as part of FGV, in terms of our global blueprints, we have been laying down our strategies and portfolios not to only focusing on upstreams, because currently that you know that FGV is well known of producing palm and palm oil based products. Okay, we've been starting back in the 60s and then in 70s, 80s, and 90s, and now up to 2015. So in our global blueprints for long-term sustainability for FGV, we want to focus more in downstreams. Okay, when we say downstream, what is downstream activities that we have in FGV? Okay, this is not something that we just started today or yesterday. We are starting up our downstream activities since in the 90s. Okay, for example, that we have produced our in terms of the FMCG products, the palm oil base, but still in palm oil base. Back in 1990s, early 1990s, we have partnered with Procter & Gamble and producing oleochemicals. If I'm mistaken, that was in 1993, and I was there. I was part of the team which is starting up the plant. And then we're producing oleochemicals base, namely it's a metal esters, alcohol, and also glycerin. So metal ester is actually a biofuel or biodiesel. So we have been producing biodiesel since 1993, but not for fuel purposes, but for consumer products. So we'll be processing later and becomes consumer goods like shampoos, like soap, detergent, and so on. Okay. Now back in 2010, 2012. So we have furthermore defined in our strategies what else that we can do with our downstreams. What are the opportunities that we have out there in order to make sure that we are not totally dependent on this upstream, which is palm oil and palm oil base, and also not forgetting rubber. They are still the core business in our company, but we want to not depend because we know that the palm oil is exposed too much to the commodities.
So you're basically looking at higher value activities, right?
Yes.
Hence the call for innovation, you're answering to the call, right?
Right. And then in 2012, we started into looking into biofuel and looking into this biodiesel. And then we have, as we speak now, we have been producing biodiesel since 2013. And then we have been selling it to all over the world, to Netherlands, Europe, and also we have been collaborating with Shell and Petronas as supplying as a B5, B7, and now we are getting into B30. Okay, so that's on the biofuels and biodiesel. Then we have looked into this okay, what else? What else that we can do with our downstream? Is there any high technology products or materials can say that it's kind of like, aha, this is something new. This is not something that people do on everyday basis. This is not something that people do widely in Malaysia, but is in the development phase and something that we can say is a future material in the next maybe 5 years from time being.
You're talking about graphene?
We're talking about graphene.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You just roll into my domain.
You just stole my punchline. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So graphene is a unique properties, unique materials, and unique products. Okay. Probably in Malaysia is currently being developed. It's not truly widely known, but in Europe, graphene is already being kind of like commercialized. It's already been developed by scientists, by academicians, and by the companies. So graphene is considered as the 21st century wonder products. It has very unique properties. It has properties which is stronger than diamond, 5 times more conductive in terms of heat from as compared to carbon. Even if I was told from my reading that they are even better in terms of conductivity for electricity than the superconductor.
Yes, it is. Better than copper. Better than anything else. Yeah.
Exactly. And it is very, very thin. It's a single atom layer, which is, if you imagine that you have a single strand of your hair, you cut into 1 million slices. You die slice your hair into 1 million. That is how thin is a layer of atom of graphene. Okay. So, and also graphene can be used in a lot of these industries. For example, the heat dissipation we can use in the batteries. We can use in the because this is very light. We can use in automobiles, aeronautics, and there's 1,000 of things. I cannot say all of them because it takes a lot of times. But this is something that material in the future, and then we are so fortunate. We are now producing graphene as we speak. We have been collaborating. We have a joint venture partners back in Cambridge and producing graphenes. And Cambridge is well known for a center of excellence, center of education, and also a center for innovation in UK. And we have perfect partners over there with scientists and all those innovators that are working on the prototype and so on and so on. So we are in the production now, and we are looking forward for more and more graphene productions in the future, and getting more and more interest from the Malaysian partners. And with the help of course, with Nano Malaysia, will be helping us very, very much so far in introducing and commercializing these activities and getting networking with all these industries in Malaysia who are very interested in this graphene technology.
Going back to the very nature of FGV, right? You guys were spun out from Felda. So Felda is a long-standing, it's an old government institute, right? Then FGV came into the picture, but still you carry the legacy of being a very large corporation. And typically around the world, large corporations tend to be the least nimble to innovate. So it is great to see that a company of your size being able to take that leap of faith and grab that opportunity, what graphene knows. But you know for a fact, graphene offers plenty of innovation business opportunity, but it is not without risk. So how did you manage, or how did the management manage the change of mindset to be bold, to be courageous in going to the frontier of technology? Okay. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. We have seen companies that goes into these new ventures and fail. But we have seen also companies that goes into ventures and very successful. So there's a risk have to take, there's a we call calculated risk. So the risk that we have done all the research, we have done all our works. For example, I give you back that when we first ventured into oleochemicals, we do not know anything about oleochemicals. The only thing that we know is producing palm oils, right. We are and all the derivatives products. We went into these oleochemicals, and also we partnered with a company which is very established, which is Procter & Gamble. They have the technology, they do the know-how, and then become the most successful joint venture company ever since, making millions of ringgit ever since we started up in 1993. So that's kind of trigger us. That's something that we know that there's failure, we know that there's a hurdle challenge, but at the back of it, if you think about failure, you always fail. If you think that something is not working, it's always not working. But what's the breakthrough? What are the risks of taking this becomes something which is new? Because we know that if you stand still, if you just stay put and just depends on palm and palm oil and rubber, rubber is not also is a commodity. It depends on the world markets, and people can play around with stocks and this and that, and depends also the price of the Brent crude oil. The price goes down, the price of rubber also goes down because they can make synthetic rubber from it, right? So the things comes when we start thinking in terms of, okay, what's next in technology? So we have started, as I said, the biodiesel is very successful, and graphene. We started exploring this graphene. We have done our research, and then we get attached with the people in Cambridge who happen to be already have a pilot plant producing it, and then get into a serious discussion and lay out our plans in terms of making the products, and then we know that since they already have selling the products, and we know that the market there, and then we did our research also in terms of engaging Nano Malaysia Berhad, and Nano Malaysia Berhad is very supporting of it, and say that, hey, this is something that we want to look at seriously because we are commercializing this technology. We want people to start doing this. And we get also with MIDA. MIDA is well known in terms of attracting business into Malaysia, especially in the high techs. So MIDA, Nanotechs is kind of a research body for us, supporting us very much in terms of getting into the new doorsteps. And we get also help also with doing research with our rubber industries, with the National Rubber Institute or National Rubber Council, which is especially doing the research on graphene into rubber. So that's kind of a small things that kind of like, it's not only small, it's big, that convinces us, hey, this is something new. This is something that people kind of like do not produce yet at larger scale, especially in Malaysia, but it's developed in the European countries. So that's how we move our mindset, a thought that, okay, we have to move, we have to make kind of like shift in terms of our paradigms. We have to make sure that we are sustainable, not only for the last 50 years, and for the next 100 years.
Yeah, well appreciated the fact that Felda FGV has been very supportive for the National Graphene Action Plan, of which we focus on 5 areas: rubber, we have conductive plastics, we're looking at conductive inks, we're looking at batteries, technology, and of course, last but not least, nanofluids. So under the National Graphene Action Plan, we have been facilitating Felda to be the backbone of graphene supplier to the would-be application developer in the country. Yeah. So before we go there to the point, because comparing the nature of boldness to innovate, because for example, like syngas and UAV pulsar, that is the core of your existence. You have to innovate because you spun up yourself, you are entrepreneurs. You have to grow, right? You have to grow. For you guys, you are able to survive without innovation because you have that bottom line covered as much, right? So that's pretty much why I'm trying to differentiate between large conglomerates and the SME and the startups. Before we open up for a very cerebral discussion between the 3 panelists, last point, what will be the social aspect of FGV as you grow your business? Because you need to make sure that you have that touch points. Yeah.
One point I forgot to raise just now that, okay, FGV has 72 mills, palm oil mills, all over Malaysia. There's 72 mills, there are lots. And then each mill has, we call it the effluent plant. Our effluent plants producing this, through these aerobics activities, producing this is what you call a byproduct called, it's a methane and biogas, okay? And happen to be that our process of making graphenes is also from methane. So we've been making graphene from methanes. We use a plasma gas cracking process, which is, if I'm not mistaken, is the only one in the world that using that technology. Maybe Dr. Rizal can elaborate more. He's more authority on this. So getting back to FGV, so we have 72 mills. Our 72 mills producing methanes and also biogas, starting from day one until now. So we've been releasing it. So what if we capture that methane? Because methane is a green gas, that is not good for environment.
Greenhouse gas, huh?
Yeah, greenhouse. So we will capture it because it's free. It's already there. It's already been releasing to the atmosphere. So we would like, as our social responsibilities, not only to making sure that we save the environment, but also, of course, as an entrepreneur, as a company who always looking for bottom lines, we get things for very cheap, very kind of almost free. Why not using that and produce high material products, which is graphene? So it's kind of like the things that marriage between the one that we already have, producing in the production scale, and then we have methane that we can bring back the technology home, so that we will be able to enjoy by Malaysian, which is now been developed in Cambridge. In the next few years, not only we capture that capture that methane gas, but also develop the technology here. So in next few years, you will see that FGV building the graphene's manufacturing plant by using the methane gases that we have in the palm oil mill, which is located quite remote in the palm oil plantation and palm oils, these sectors. So that's how we see this, how we're going along in the next few years. First, starting up in terms of getting the right foots on the right path. Then acquiring the technology, we are sending people there from Malaysia. We're sending few engineers to Cambridge as we speak. So they will, in the next few years, they get all they captured all the sciences, the technology, getting all the brains behind all the scientists that we have in Cambridge, bring back to Malaysia, setting up a plant in Malaysia, capturing our methane gas in our mill, and producing more and more graphene, and making it something new for Malaysia in terms of generating more money coming into this country.
It's also right to say, I'm being presumptuous here, by activating the whole value chain to produce graphene, you can actually also uplift the social condition of the smallholders, because they'll be part of the nanomaterial production, because they'll be the one who managing the production of methane, and that acts as a feedstock into the graphene synthesis.
Exactly.
So you're adding more revenue possibilities.
And more jobs.
More jobs for smallholders. That will be the social innovation aspect, by putting them in the right stage in the innovation value chain as such, right? Okay. Okay, now it's the time for us to have some kind of interaction between the panelists. I would like to go back to Syngas, right? Okay, Samsul, having heard the presentation by Ismay and Zuki and whatnot, how do you see yourself positioning your company, Syngas, in terms of possible collaboration between these two entities? Yeah.
How do I see the collaboration between Pulsar and FGV?
Yeah.
I see a lot.
Yeah.
For one, we are producing fuel, and we do not actually limit ourselves to produce diesel. We are also looking at other commercial fuel, which is kerosene, also petrol, which I would like to suggest to Pulsar to actually look into that as well. We can actually produce a high quality concentrated fuel that you can actually use it for a certain period of time. That's one. And with FGV, I attended the graphene talk at MIDA.
I remember you being there.
The reason being was that in the system that we have, it is something sort of similar. How do you actually produce graphene from methane? You gasify them, and you get the graphene out. And we have similar system in our process. We use hydrocarbon gas, quite similar, and we have traces of carbon all around the walls of the system. Now, I have already contacted with FGV to actually do the testing on those carbon. If those are deemed to be graphene, then we have another byproduct that we can actually work on.
All right,
Yeah.
great. So business opportunity, this is called innovation from industry. So our job for MOSTI is to find proactively business opportunity. So maybe they can also tap onto some pre-existing MOSTI funding facilities to close the gap of this
Exactly.
innovation. So great, great. So how about you, Mr. Ismail?
Yeah, as what mentioned by Syngas, I
Yeah.
think the fuel is important. One of our key areas to diversify our system.
Okay.
Besides using electric, we're going for hydrogen fuel cell. Besides that, there are possibilities to develop a piston engine based on that particular fuel that might see an increase in endurance compared to existing fuel. The other thing on FGV actually is a great deal when looking into graphene, because to what I've been discussing around, graphene can be the key ingredient for ultra capacitor.
All right.
Right.
Correct.
So when talking about electrical systems on board, any electrical systems, especially when high power consumption, ultra capacitor can be that buffer for the boost. So in fact, we have already ordered ultra capacitor from Europe, and it's quite costly. So if we want to expand, we need to find alternative.
Correct.
So that's how I see we can work.
But that creates an opportunity for people from the audience to develop local business based on ultra-capacitor development work, right?
Yeah, true.
To partner. And we have MOSTI, for example, the likes of Sirim. They have an open innovation platform to prototype lithium-based batteries and of ultra-capacitors too. And they are venturing into graphene-based to enhance the performance as such. Right, great. And of course, I would like to touch also on the fact that drones are made essentially of composites. They can be made of metal or composite.
yeah.
So imagine you have those composite made of graphene infused where they are just as strong as metal bodies. So that will actually make your drones lighter and be much more efficient. So I'm throwing that to you
Yeah, and,
for you
and
to consider. Yeah.
I recall you mentioned that
Yeah.
the structure itself can be the battery.
Correct.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
correct.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward.
Okay, over to you.
Yes, thank you. From the side discussion that we have just now, before we came on stage, and also after hearing from Encik Samsul and also Mr. Ismail, there's a vast opportunity when they start opening their mouths in terms of the technologies, and then so what can we do, especially when Mr. Ismail mentioned about their batteries. They want to be lighter and last longer and this and that. I can see because this is something that it already embarked. We have been working currently with 19 business partners all over the world, and then those are big companies. I cannot reveal the names because we have the signed NDA, but using batteries, using graphene in the batteries is one of those items that we are working with one of our business partners.
Correct.
They are looking very seriously in terms of how they can make their batteries last longer and superconductive, and then be able to sustain without have to recharge for a long period of times and also on a frequent basis. Okay. And you talk about these circuits, right? Graphene can be used as we can make it as a graphene ink. Basically you can write. You put in a pen, you write it, and then you can make a circuit. It's only a circuit.
The removal of the need of metal interconnects, right? Yeah, which is heavier. Yeah.
Exactly. So those are the things that we can collaborate as we speak, as we have on the stage now. We can have a side discussion of this. We can go further than this. It's something that we can have a business collaboration with Mr. Samsul and also Mr. Ismail, so that we be able to go and grow, not only on graphene, but also we can use that as part of our advanced.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zuki. That brings us to the end of this very, very, very thought-provoking session. And also it produces a lot of business opportunity between the three of you. And of course to the audience here, because we have MOSTI RIs who are more than ready to support the facilities and the people, technical support that is, to ensure that you can go up to the next stage. Because innovation doesn't stop, as being aptly mentioned by Cik Samsu earlier on. Innovation never sleeps. It's a monster that keeps you awake, keep you alert on your feet all the time. So this is why we are here. We are nice people. We want to be nice. We're going to be nice always and all the time. So coming from nice perspective, I would like to also pitch on nano. Nice can also mean nanotechnology innovates country economy. Sorry about that. So I'm hoping that at some point, the small companies such as Syngas and Pulsar UAV, you're able to become giants in the future and go for public listing at some point. At some point, you'll be pretty much something that the whole nation can be proud of. Because we're already proud of FGV to be where they are now, venturing into nanotech space. And that is something that we all should be proud of and support along the way. So give another round of applause to our panelists. With that, and we shall end this session because we are aware that the opening ceremony will be happening pretty soon. So thank you so much. Over to you, MC.
Right, thank you, Dr. Rizal. Now, I would like to seek Dr. Rizal's cooperation or assistance in presenting the token of appreciation to our panelists. Once again, thank you so much to Dr. Rizal Khairi Ahmad for moderating the session and the panelists for sharing the thoughts. And yes, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please remain on your seats as we will start our opening ceremony or launching ceremony in about a few more minutes' time. And I'll see you later. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.